Meek Mill forced me to go to Diddy's late night party. Diddy and Meek Mill treated me very badly. Diddy forced me to take part in the freak off. I have the videotape, and I will definitely give it to the FBI. I know all of Diddy's secret tunnels, and Meek Mill will also go to jail.
Done. I'm at a point in my life like we all grew up in the streets, and we try to be better, but they labeled us felons, sent us back to jail. I had to fight against that the whole time. This just sent straight from Philly. Philly MC said they want that smoke, so we're gonna see what y'all got. Meek Mill, you know, you ain't got nothing but air and opportunity to show them how it's done. Hey, what's up, King Son? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you.
That Nicki recorded that at the freak off in the Calabasas. She been waiting to drop that shit on Meek. She just wasn't gonna tell nobody it was Diddy. But now that Diddy out there, why not?
Where would you be right now if you were just Meek Mill, who nobody knew, if you didn't have all these powerful people who raised your case up and made people?
I would be in prison.
Meek Mill's got to deal with what he got to deal with based on the relationship him and Puff had.
For decades, the music industry has been built on a foundation of untouchable secrets, silent agreements, and powerful figures who believed they were entirely above the law. But eventually, every house of cards begins to sway, and all it takes is one tiny breeze to bring the whole thing crashing down. That breeze came in the form of an explosive 73-page legal document that shattered the public image of Sean Diddy Combs. The filing was packed with jaw-dropping claims of wild parties, illegal substances, and dark backroom deals. But tucked away at the very bottom of one page was a tiny, seemingly insignificant footnote. It didn't explicitly name names, but it left a breadcrumb trail so obvious that the entire internet solved the puzzle in a matter of seconds. And the moment those dots were connected, it unleashed a massive, chaotic domino effect that dragged some of the biggest names in hip-hop straight into the mud. We are talking about a tangled web of betrayal, undeniable receipts, and an industry-shaking rumor involving Diddy, Meek Mill, and a brutal revenge plot allegedly masterminded by the queen of rap herself, Nicki Minaj. It's a story of grudges held for years, hidden cameras, and egos so fragile they shattered under the weight of a single tweet.
Yo, Sal, what's up?
Yeah, y'all already know how we playing out this real life.
Real life.
Nigga, no Diddy gang, Meek Mill in real life. Don't ever disrespect me, you
Talk
heard?
that Meek. Yeah, Meek.
What? Yo, wait a minute. Wait.
But that wasn't the whole story, because the real chaos started with a producer who thought he was walking into a dream job. Rodney Jones, known in the industry as Lil Rod, thought he had finally made it. He was a talented producer invited into the ultra-exclusive inner circle of Sean Combs to work on his latest highly anticipated album. He traveled on private jets, relaxed on a luxury yacht in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and bounced between multi-million-dollar mansions in Los Angeles, New York, and Florida. It looked like the ultimate VIP lifestyle, complete with a Grammy nomination. But according to a massive lawsuit he eventually filed against the mogul, the glamorous facade was actually a nightmare of manipulation, exploitation, and unpaid wages. Lil Rod claimed he was cheated out of more than $50,000 for his musical contributions, but the financial dispute was absolutely nothing compared to the dark behavior he claimed to have witnessed behind closed doors. In the legal filing, the producer painted a terrifying picture of a man who used his immense wealth and power to force people into highly compromising situations. He alleged that Diddy openly boasted about his intimate escapades with other high-profile men, claiming that backdoor relationships were simply the price of admission to the top tier of the music industry. The lawsuit stated that Diddy bragged about crossing boundaries with several unnamed stars to prove how much influence he had.
They had a recording of Meek and Diddy
making love?
Ew. I don't know if it was love.
Okay, you have it? Let's hear it.
And that brings us to the footnote that officially broke the internet. To avoid instant defamation countersuits, high-profile lawsuits often use blind items to describe celebrities without printing their actual government names. In this specific filing, the paperwork mentioned an unnamed rapper who was allegedly involved in some highly questionable activities with Diddy. To clarify who this person was, a footnote simply described him as a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj. Ding, ding, ding. It did not take a team of federal investigators to crack that code. Social media timelines completely erupted. Fans, bloggers, and industry insiders immediately knew exactly who the paperwork was talking about. It was the easiest riddle in hip-hop history. Meek Mill was suddenly the #1 trending topic on every single platform, and the memes were absolutely ruthless. The internet is a brutal place, and when millions of people are handed a piece of gossip that juicy, the fire spreads faster than anyone can control.
Happy birthday, Happy birthday.
But instead of ignoring the flames and letting the news cycle die down, the rapper in question made a catastrophic public relations mistake that would haunt him for months. If there is one thing everyone knows about Meek Mill, it's that he simply cannot put his phone down when his emotions are running high. Time and time again, he has proven that his greatest enemy is the block and reply button. When you are accused of participating in dark, unmentionable activities with a man currently under federal investigation, the smartest move is to let your high-priced legal team handle the situation. But Meek decided to be his own lawyer on social media. As the rumors began to spread like wildfire, DJ Academics, one of the most prominent media personalities in hip-hop, went live on stream to read the lawsuit. Academics was genuinely shocked. He laughed, expressed his disbelief, and flat out said there was no way a gritty street rapper like Meek Mill was getting bent over by the mogul. It was a viral moment that essentially defended Meek's character. Academics even nudged the rapper on the timeline, casually suggesting that Meek should fire off a quick rant aimed at Lil Rod to deny the whole thing and clear the air.
5. He's a Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj.
What do you think about the undercover community?
I think that if you roll in undercover, right, there's no need to, because I think the opportunities are endless.
Telling Academics to stop playing with his name, hinting that when they finally meet, it's going to get messy. He even said, "I can't wait to meet Academics LOL," and threw in a confusing mix about dropping a song and other random threats. The reaction was so bizarre that Academics himself had to pause and double-check. Wait, did you just blame me for what a lawsuit said? Like, I made it up? LOL, no way. Honestly, I don't even think Meek's gay, but this is weird as F. He even called out Meek for going on Twitter, blaming him for a lawsuit while promoting a track at the same time. And just when you thought the drama couldn't get any more insane, it did. He said things like, "I'ma show y'all how to hurt computer geeks. Just the block button. I'm still shooting a vid in front of your house. I'm still coming. I only want to hear from you in person, LOL. Yep, really." Then, in a follow-up, he tried to call it quits. "Okay, it's over, y'all. I wanted to see how many days I could make a bad geek lose sleep, LOL. I blocked him."
But while Meek was busy fighting invisible ghosts on the timeline, a very real ghost from his past was quietly preparing to drop the ultimate nuke. Just as the internet was starting to process the sheer weirdness of Meek's defensive meltdown, the situation somehow managed to get infinitely worse. Out of nowhere, an anonymous, highly disturbing audio clip leaked onto the internet. The recording was grainy, muffled, and incredibly graphic. It allegedly featured the distinct voices of Diddy and Meek Mill engaging in some very intense adult fun. You could hear slapping noises, heavy breathing, and guttural sounds that sent a massive shockwave of pure disgust and fascination across every corner of social media. The internet completely froze. The audio was being analyzed, debated, and shared across millions of group chats. And while skeptics tried to argue that it might be fake or AI generated, a legendary industry insider stepped up to the microphone to validate every single rumor.
Okay, you have it? Let's hear it.
Like a killer. Like, no way he's like getting, you know what I mean, bent over by Diddy, the diddler. So I reacted like, I'm not even believing it. That reaction went viral.
Man. And then Milk running around, talking about expensive pain.
Wait, this is Philly you're talking about now. Wait a minute, Jack.
Me.
Wait a minute.
He's a Fruit Loop. He Diddy fried.
This is Philly.
He's a deep fried. Period. He Diddy fried. He Diddy fried. He the Diddy do our bop. Fuck me. Real rap.
You think that audio that they put out was real?
Yeah, that was him. Nicki put that out there. That Nicki recorded that at the freak off in the Calabasas. She been waiting to drop that shit on Meek. She just wasn't gonna tell nobody it was Diddy. But now that Diddy out there, why not?
So then who's the guy who's claiming he recorded it?
Oh, somebody that got paid?
Yeah, he said like I was standing
somebody
outside the
that
door.
got paid.
Yeah.
Now enter Jaguar Wright. If you know anything about the dark underbelly of the music business, you know exactly who Jaguar is. She is a former neo-soul singer who has spent the last several years sitting on couches and podcasts, ruthlessly exposing the most terrifying secrets of the hip-hop elite. For a long time, people wrote her off as bitter or crazy, but as lawsuits started piling up and federal raids started making the evening news, the public quickly realized that Jaguar Wright's intel was always terrifyingly accurate. When asked about the leaked audio tape, Jaguar didn't just confirm that it was real. She dropped a bombshell that flipped the entire narrative upside down. She revealed that the audio wasn't leaked by a random hacker or a disgruntled studio engineer. According to Jaguar, the person who hit record during that twisted Calabasas freak-off was none other than Nicki Minaj.
She been waiting to drop that shit on me.
That was one of those things that he shouldn't have done, and I told him before he did it. But he did it. And
Jaguar claimed that Nicki had the inside scoop on Diddy's infamous late-night activities and had secretly captured the audio of her own boyfriend engaging in the unspeakable. But the most chilling part of Jaguar's claim was the timeline. She alleged that Nicki had been sitting on this devastating piece of digital leverage for years. She just kept it locked away in a digital vault, waiting patiently for the exact right moment to destroy him. Why didn't she drop it immediately when they broke up? Because Nicki is a brilliant strategist. Early on, Diddy was still an untouchable billionaire with enough industry power to completely derail Nicki's career if she crossed him. It was a matter of strict self-preservation. She bided her time, watching the clock tick, waiting until the mogul was backed into a corner and bleeding out in the press. The second Lil Rod's lawsuit cracked Diddy's armor, Nicki allegedly saw her opening, paid someone else to take the fall for the leak, and watched the chaos unfold from a distance.
But that's not a diss. Meek likes being brought up in that song. I don't know why you lowering his thing. You think you're doing him a favor. He's very, very happy being mentioned, I'm pretty sure.
It's pretty easy to tell that whoever wrote the recent lawsuit against the wannabe rapper/producer reads this website on a pretty regular basis. They even use some of the same clues in their blind items. And I said before and I'm saying again, no, that's because the blind item has been recording crimes that have been reported to them instead of the police for the past 20 years.
To fully understand why the undisputed queen of rap would hold on to such a devastating secret and plot a revenge tour of this magnitude, you have to rewind the tape to see where the toxic bad blood truly began. Let's step back to the year 2015. At the time, Nicki Minaj was sitting comfortably on the throne as the most powerful woman in hip-hop, and Meek Mill was a rising star with a gritty Philadelphia street reputation. When they publicly announced their relationship, they became the ultimate industry power couple. Fans absolutely ate it up. Meek joined Nicki on her massive Pink Print tour, opening up for her in sold-out arenas all across North America. Their Instagram feeds were flooded with glamorous photos of them riding ATVs, wearing expensive jewelry, and looking hopelessly in love. They were the king and queen of the rap blogs. But behind the diamond chains and the flashing stage lights, the foundation of their relationship was crumbling fast. As the old saying goes, all that glitters isn't gold, and the toxic reality of their dynamic was becoming impossible to hide.
Meek Mill says he will pay $100,000 to an investigator to find out why his name is being tied in with the Diddy allegations. Back in February, Diddy was sued by a former employee for assault. The lawsuit included redacted names, and fans believe that Meek Mill was one of those names. The lawsuit was filed by Rodney Jones, and he alleges that Diddy told him he had relations with an unnamed rapper. The footnote of the lawsuit claims that that rapper is from Philadelphia and dated Nicki Minaj. At the time, Meek Mill tweeted denying the allegations that they were talking about him. He denied being gay or doing any drugs, and he made multiple tweets about this, completely denying that he had any sort of personal relations with with Diddy in that way. Now, many months later, as Diddy is still being investigated, Meek put out another tweet. He says, "I want to hire an investigative team, $100,000 cash, to find out every specific detail involving Meek Mill's name to Diddy's case. I also want them to look at who is powering the media involving Meek, anything to do with Buddy, something not right."
By early 2017, the fairy tale was completely dead. Nicki confirmed on Twitter that she was single, and the fallout was incredibly messy. Meek, who has never been known for taking the high road, immediately hit the studio to process his feelings. On his Wins and Losses album, he started throwing subliminal shots at the woman who had helped elevate his career. He dropped petty bars about cutting her off, acting like she was dead, and how much his absence was bothering her. It was the standard bitter rapper playbook, but the real emotional toll of the relationship was hidden from the public until Nicki released a teaser for her highly anticipated Queen documentary series. In the short, raw clip, Nicki let her usually impenetrable guard down. She looked directly into the camera, tears welling in her eyes, and opened up about a deeply personal history of maltreatment. She spoke about promising herself as a little girl that she would never let a man abuse her or make her feel small, only to find herself trapped in a cycle where she didn't even recognize who she was anymore. While she carefully avoided dropping a specific name to avoid instant legal trouble, the timing and the context pointed a giant glowing arrow right at Meek Mill.
President Obama, Ross was there and texted, "This chick is a keeper." She went in a room full of rappers and spoke to Obama, and the first thing out of her mouth was about you. And then you come out on an album when it's time to sell some weak ass album and try to disrespect Nicki Minaj.
I remember when my mother would let my father be with her, and she always brings up the story. As a little girl, I would stand in front of my mother and go like this, and I vowed, like, that's why I'm like, maybe some people would describe me as a or a bitch or whatever, because I vowed from that age, no man would ever abuse me, call me out my name, treat me like that. And then all of a sudden, that was my life.
But just when you thought that...
And Meek knew exactly what she was doing. Instead of offering an apology or staying silent, he panicked. He immediately hit Nicki with a formal cease and desist order, legally demanding that she keep his name out of the documentary. It was a desperate attempt to censor her story, but it only confirmed to the entire world that he was terrified of what she had on film.
Who was I gonna inspire when I had nothing in me to give? Like, I let one human being make me so low that, like, I didn't even remember who I was.
But the corporate legal threats were absolutely nothing compared to the explosive physical confrontation that was about to take place in the streets of Los Angeles. By the time 2020 rolled around, Nicki had completely moved on. She was happily married to her childhood friend Kenneth Petty and was focused on building her new life. But Hollywood is a very small town, and the past has a funny way of walking right through the front door. One afternoon, Nicki and Kenneth were casually shopping inside the luxury Maxfield boutique in West Hollywood. Out of nowhere, they literally bumped into Meek Mill. It was the kind of random, incredibly awkward encounter that instantly sucks all the air out of the room. Within seconds, the tension exploded into a full-blown screaming match. Cell phone footage captured the chaos as Kenneth and Meek hurled insults at each other while Nicki's voice pierced through the commotion, calling her ex-boyfriend a coward. The situation escalated so quickly that security had to physically step in, and Meek was humiliatingly escorted out of the designer store.
In Meek's situation, and I read a very interesting article in what I consider to be a great magazine the other day about Meek's situation. It really broke down what was going on, and it filled in a lot of gaps from that writer's point of view in the research. And we find Meek in a situation where people are very much rallying around him because of what they can see as, and I'm using this term very gently, serious inconsistencies. And I wonder, for someone that you spend, a considerable part of your life with, that you obviously, you just don't stop caring about people, I don't think. That's up to you. What your feeling is about that, and
you know what? I don't want to talk about legal things, but I will say that, every now and then I think about
Anyway, I won't go there. I'll save some of those things for my album, and I'm also shooting a documentary.
But while Nicki and Meek were tearing each other apart in the public eye, a much larger, far more sinister storm was silently brewing around the man who had been enabling the darkness behind the scenes. To truly understand how deep this sickness ran in the industry, you have to look at the chilling history of Sean Combs. The rumors about his behavior weren't just random internet gossip. They were an open secret among the elite for decades, and nobody knew that better than Gene Deal, a former security guard who had witnessed the bizarre power dynamics of the hip-hop world up close. Long before Lil Rod filed his paperwork, Gene Deal was sitting in front of podcast microphones, spilling terrifying stories about Diddy's predatory tactics. According to Gene, Diddy's method of operation involved isolating young, ambitious artists and introducing them to a hidden world of backdoor activities that they could never speak about again.
Well, let's just say things got intimate. Gene described seeing backdoor plugs for the first time and explained that the bathhouses were notorious for these kinds of meetings. Lots of people getting undressed without suspicion. Now, rumors of Diddy being on the DL have been floating for years, but it wasn't until Lil Rod came forward that a victim brought proof.
Gene recounted a specific incident involving a rapper named Jeru. Gene was working as Jeru's bodyguard during a tour stop in North Carolina. He claimed that Diddy had gone to an adult bookstore, purchased a bag full of extreme toys, and showed up unannounced at Jeru's hotel suite. Gene tried to block the door, knowing that nothing good was about to happen, but Diddy pushed past him with total arrogance. When Gene asked Jeru why he was entertaining the mogul for so long behind a locked door, the rapper allegedly looked away and muttered that there was a lot of freaky stuff going on that nobody needed to know about. But Gene didn't stop there. He painted a picture of a billionaire who operated like a mob boss, using Turkish bathhouses as hunting grounds. He described environments where high-profile men would gather, disrobe without any suspicion, and engage in highly intimate, orchestrated encounters. This was the dark reality of the industry. It was an open culture of exploitation where young stars were told that if they didn't play along, their careers would be instantly blacklisted. If you wanted the radio spins, the features, and the lifestyle, you had to leave your dignity at the door. People like Jaguar Wright had been trying to sound the alarm about these exact grooming tactics for years. She spoke about being given mysterious substances that made her lose consciousness, only to realize another artist was trying to take advantage of her. She survived, but she knew countless others who were broken by the machine. Those chilling industry whispers were finally becoming deafening screams, and the walls of an untouchable empire were about to completely shatter. The ultimate collapse of Sean Combs didn't happen overnight, but when the dam finally broke, the floodwaters took out everyone in its path. The real catalyst wasn't just a rumor, it was the bravery of his former partner, Cassie Ventura. When she filed her massive lawsuit detailing years of horrific domestic maltreatment and control, it gave every other silent victim the courage to finally step into the light. Suddenly, Diddy wasn't just fighting one bad news cycle, he was facing an avalanche of federal scrutiny. The final, fatal blow came when heavily armed federal agents descended upon his sprawling compounds in Holmby Hills and Star Island. News helicopters circled above as officers carried out boxes of hard drives, electronics, and potential evidence in connection with a massive investigation into racketeering, substance distribution, and human trafficking. The man who once claimed he invented the remix was now sitting in a federal detention center, denied bail, and watching his entire legacy burn to the ground. And right there in the middle of the ashes, completely untouched by the flames, was Nicki Minaj. If Jaguar Wright's intel is to be believed, the queen of rap played the greatest, most patient game of chess the industry has ever seen. She took the pain and humiliation she suffered at the hands of Meek Mill, captured the ultimate piece of leverage, and held onto it until the very men who tried to silence her had absolutely no power left to fight back. She didn't just expose her ex-boyfriend, she let the weight of a crumbling federal empire do the heavy lifting for her. This saga goes so much deeper than a simple rap beef or a celebrity breakup. It is a terrifying glimpse into the predatory machine of the music industry, a world where loyalty is bought, trust is a liability, and survival depends on how many secrets you are willing to keep. Diddy's fall from grace has permanently altered the landscape of hip-hop, leaving fans completely paranoid about the media they consume and the idols criminals they worship. As the federal investigations continue to dig through decades of digital evidence and hidden files, the entire industry is holding its collective breath. Because if the man who controlled the keys to the kingdom can be brought down by the very people he thought he owned, it forces us all to ask one chilling question: who is next, and what other dark secrets are waiting to be dragged out of the shadows?